Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team video, where today I'm going over one of the tournaments I ran, the first Kill Team tournament I've ever ran. But before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Was it helpful? Did you like it? Remember, I've got a Discord you can check out in the episode description below, an affiliate link at Element Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. But yeah, today I'm talking about my Kill Team tournament I ran literally just last weekend, and tying into one of my future events coming up at the Goonhammer Open in June. But yeah, it's been about, I think, at least 5 years since I ran a tournament. Because I used to run tournaments for Warhammer Underworlds in London, then obviously I stopped playing that game, and then, you know, the pandemic happened, and then I've been meaning to run tournaments for a long time. And my plan with this video is just to talk about my experience, as well as trying to help people if they're planning events, and how it just basically all ran. Because, as I said, it was supposed to happen in November, and then it happened in May instead. And now I've got my next tournament at the June Goonhammer Open. But yeah, it was just really fun, and I'd like to share it. So for my tournament, it was hosted at Darksphere in London, Darksphere Shepherd's Bush. So it's a really big gaming centre in like central West London. So it's like on the central line. But it's a really big store, like big store. It's one of London's, I think it's London's biggest gaming space. But it's a really fun place, you know, like you're probably aware of Darksphere because of its discounts, but it actually is a really good gaming center. It's actually very cheap as well for its size. And what I had to do was speak to the organizers and get it all organized. And then usually because I used to run events at Bad Moon Cafe in central London for Underworlds, and the way I would basically do it is actually speaking to the store and run it for them. But then I found out with Darksphere, what people actually normally did there is instead they would rent out the venue. And that's something I didn't really realize, like how you could run events, because a lot of people actually nowadays actually rent out the venue. So they just pay a flat fee, and then they just do everything themselves, which was very shocking for me, because when I was like, okay, can I run this tournament here? And they're like, yeah. And then I was like, this is how much it will cost. And I was like, how much it will cost? So it was kind of a big change, because I managed to get them to agree, because they were also shocked. So when I run tournaments, I basically I don't mind running it for the store, because the reason I want to run tournaments is to help grow the scene. Because, you know, I've done a lot of playing, I go to different scenes all the time now, but growing, like running your own tournaments and helping people play, I think is more rewarding. And for me, the goal is actually to get people play, not making a profit. For me, it's just like helping the store grow and helping the scene grow. So the store were kind of shocked, because they were like, you literally just want to do this for free. And I was like, yeah, you know, it's fine. It's okay. But then once that was all sorted out, then I had to go with marketing, which actually is one of the biggest hurdle for TOs, because the problem with Kill Team is, or the problem with any game system is, because Warhammer games don't really have a centralized tournament circuit or like place. So the problem is, when it comes to marketing events, your option is just basically putting on BCP and going on social media. So I was kind of beneficial because of my large reach. But what I do now is I post, because I use Best Coast Pairings, which I'll get into a second. But using Best Coast Pairings, I put it up early. So if people were searching Best Coast Pairings, they could find the event instead of putting up the week before the event. And then also like sharing it all over Facebook, Reddit, obviously my YouTube, my Discord, and then in the local London chats. So that was still frustrating, because it's just so many places that you need to share, and then you're like, sharing it everywhere, asking permission. And then it's like organizing ticket sales, because I wasn't actually running the event and I didn't link sales via BCP. You know, I had to organize getting the list of actual players and making sure players had registered for the event, even though I'd put the link on the page. So that was like just an issue. But the cool thing that hosting at Darksphere, like most tournaments, you have to kind of, the way we've been doing tournaments before in London via getting terrain is via tournament player donations. So players would bring their own tournament set, come early, set up, and then take it home when the tournament finishes. But because Darksphere is actually really established and been quite focused on establishing their Kill Team scene, I was able to set up 21 tables of their own Kill Team terrain. So that was pretty awesome, because I think it was the first London event where they didn't need any terrain volunteers. So that was really cool, because it just made things easier for setup. So I could set up on the Friday night And it was just nice, you know, just nice seeing a gaming center that's fully invested in Kill Team and helping to support our local scene. And that reaches on to terrain, because originally, as I said, it was going to be Into the Dark and Beta Decima. But if you watch my latest Beta Decima video, you'll understand why I switched it Into the Dark and Open. So I managed to have 11 tables of asymmetrical Into the Dark from Dakota's map pack from LVO, which was really fun. And then I just had a lot of open tables, like I think it was 9 Octarius and 1 Chaunaf, which I just built on the Friday night. So there was no set map packs, because people are like obsessed with map packs, and I just prefer going into a tournament not knowing what terrain I'm going to play. So that's basically what I did. And when I built those maps, I followed a simple principle, which I think is just fine. You have 4 objectives which are safe / covered by cover of some kind, usually heavy, and then 2 open objectives. So basically, people have 2 objectives each side they can safely defend and score. And if they want to push for that 3rd and 4th point, they're going to have to be a little bit more aggressive. So I thought that would be fun, and generally that worked out quite well over the weekend. But they were all just made at random, and even rounds were rolled off, so no one knew what was going to happen round 1, 2, and 3. Well, round 1 and 2. So it was like really fun, because I like that randomness. That controlled randomness when it comes to tournaments. Because if you look at tournaments nowadays, everyone knows what map they're playing, what round they're playing, like what mission they're playing, so they can all pre-plan. And I was just like, no. We're going to roll a dice to see what mission we're playing, and then what's left we keep rolling. And like, there's no fixed map packs apart from Into the Dark. But that was really fun, and everyone seemed to love it, because you know, everyone's been playing map packs for like over a year now, and I love some controlled chaos. And then it comes to Best Coast Pairings. So look, I'm not the biggest fan of Best Coast Pairings. I know a lot of people aren't, but I actually was really impressed by Best Coast Pairings throughout the entire event. So I will say, organizing through Best Coast Pairings, while it's really easy to set up, organizing the pairing metrics and stuff is a complete pain. Like, they really need some kind of proper like video tutorial going through things. And I may do that if people want, because now I know how to do it. It's pretty easy. But it's just like, oh, it would have been very easy if, because I had to rely on my friends, so like Dakota and Travis. So Travis Cheng from, you know, Just Another Kill Team podcast, and obviously Dakota from Luster's Workshop. They were really helpful in that regard, like just helping me with little things, because they were able to talk me through. So having TO friends to fall back on was great, but otherwise it was just like a pain. But once you've sorted it out, I will say the worst thing about Best Coast Pairings is trying to sort out the pairing and placing metrics, because for some reason you have this drop-down menu, and when you drag, I thought it was just a mobile thing, but for some reason you need to drag them and reorder them into priority. But the issue is, if you drag them, some of them just jump up off the screen and they won't go back. So it's just like, it's just a weird formatting error. But outside of the pairing metrics and placing metrics, once you've got those sorted, which was fine, because what I did when it came to pairings, I do tournament points and random, right? Because I hate either playing the top players playing each other or top v bottom. Just random, stop submarining. There are some flaws to it, but it's the most fairest way to do an event. And then also for placings, it was tournament points, game win percentage, then total victory points, and then total tac ops. So to make it a little bit more fairer. So you've got the randomness from pairings and the more fair results that you get from for the fixed placings. But using Best Coast Pairings was actually super easy, and they've even made it like more accessible and more friendly once you've started the tournament. So like, my friends were a bit apprehensive when I told them I didn't have my laptop or tablet. They were like, you need one to run the tournament. I was like, I'll just go off mobile. And to be fair, it worked flawlessly off mobile. We even had this thing where a lot of people, you know, some people dropped, but then I started the event with 2 people who hadn't readied. And then thankfully Charles stepped in as the spare player. And then I'd already started round 1, and I checked basically if I could add people after the tournament started, and they said no. But because they've like updated Best Coast Pairings, at least from as long as you haven't finished round 1, you can check in players and add them in. So what I was able to do was basically drop one person who didn't turn up, and then check in a guy who did turn up late, and then add them to the tournament so they could basically play without, you know, restarting the entire tournament. And that was actually really helpful. And like, I was able to swap pairings really easily, because what I had was people who couldn't make, because it was a 2-day event, I had people who couldn't make the Saturday and were playing the Sunday. So I added them on the Saturday and made them lose all their games but play each other. And then they could join in on the Sunday. And then those that are only playing on the Saturday would drop after their third game. So Best Coast Pairings was actually really, really good. You just kind of need someone to talk you through it. But once you get the hang of it, it's actually really easy. So actually, I'm giving props to Best Coast Pairings, so I really recommend it. I know there's stuff like Longshanks and other, pairing systems, but Best Coast Pairings is really good. If you are a TO who's planning to use Best Coast Pairings, find someone who knows how to use it already, either like via online or in real life, and also put it up the moment you put up your event, because a lot of people search BCP for events. So as I said, don't set up BCP a week before your event. Do it like months before, actually the moment you announce it, because that's what I did and it helped a lot. And then it comes to the tournament itself. So another thing is, so as I said, it was up to 64 players. We had 44, and then due to drops, it was 39 overall. And what I did was, because of as I said, I had people it was a 2-day tournament, 6 rounds, 3 days, 3 rounds one day, 3 rounds the other, 2-hour rounds with a minimum half-hour break and an hour for lunch to give people enough time to rest. And basically, the tournament finished by 6 p.m. on both days. So if people were coming down to London for the day, for the weekend, they had stuff to do, or even just socialize after, which a lot of people did. But what I did do was organize a spare player, because in case I had odd numbers, I had someone to step up so someone didn't have to get a buy and stuff. So everyone was getting to play. The other thing is I did list submission deadlines. So I did the week before, with if players who didn't submit by the Monday before the event, they would be at -2 points per game, so they wouldn't get the painting score. And some people thought that was a little extreme in the tournament, and I was like, no, like literally the reason I'm doing it is because I make lists public a week before, so it locks in any balance changes so people can see what they're playing against. But also it lets me know how many tables I need to set up, because I needed to set up 22 tables based on tickets sold. And then on the Saturday, when people actually turned up, I was able to take 2 tables away because I actually had the finite number. So then when I explained it to players, that was the reason. They were like, okay. Because a lot of people just like, I make sure they submitted their rosters as well. So I had to check their rosters, because it's a pet peeve of mine when I'm going through events, like just for the stats, seeing people like checked in with only their faction, but no roster, especially when it matters for a lot of teams. So just making sure no one's cheating. Yeah, I had Charles step up on the Saturday, which was great. Like he was helping me run the event. So if you have a friend like who can play, that's great. Because when we got to the Sunday, because of drops, we had even players, so he didn't have to play anymore. And, I had my player pack, even though people don't read the player pack with all the rules. But it was just helpful. I was doing round call outs, so I was copying the Warhammer World round timings. So like after 10 minutes, I was reminding people you need to start. Then like time milestones, calling those out regularly to keep people on track, making sure people were finishing on time. I was doing pairings like 10 to 15 minutes before the round so people could find their opponent, because another pet peeve of mine is people starting the pairing process when the round starts. So people spend their 10 minutes of their round trying to find their opponent and setting up the table, which is a big no for me. Like I already had preset objective markers thanks to Nick from Crossfire Games. So I'll put him in the episode description. He gave me 6 objective markers for every table, which was super helpful. I didn't have time because I forgot to mark out the drop zones, but that was the format. And basically everyone had a really good time. It was really well run. And yeah, it was just fun. I found people really enjoyed the 2-hour round timings with the breaks, like the decently long breaks, because that's what I enjoy. My biggest thing is I don't think Kill Team works at 1 hour and 45 anymore because of the length of the game. So having 2 hours meant people could just play. They didn't feel too rushed. Of course, we had some people, because they were new or just quite slow at first, didn't finish on time, but I was able to pace it out. But generally, everyone had a really, really good time. They felt relaxed. They didn't feel like they were being pushed too much. It helped the new players as well as the older players. So it was just great all round. And that was because as I said, when I play at other events, I just get really annoyed when it's 15-minute breaks between rounds. And then even if it's 2 hours, 15-minute breaks are not long enough, at least 20, because people, if they go to time, they only have 15 minutes break. And then it's especially if pairings are announced then you like spend more time like at the start of the round finding your opponent. But it was all really smoothly run, and basically thanks to Charles as well, because he helped me a lot, especially on day 2 when he was helping do judge calls as well. And then when it comes to judge calls, like I already had my own FAQ, but I will just say now, Mandrakes are currently a horrible team. I think for one table, I answered like 20 Mandrake questions, not because the Mandrake player was cheating or anything. It's literally because they had these weird interactions with Phobos that I'd never thought of, right? And like Mandrakes were the one team I answered so many questions on. Like there's so many confusing rulings about Mandrakes and interactions, which was shocking for me because they were stuff I didn't even think about, like, you know, with the Haywire Mine, all these things. And I was just like, why? Why is it the Mandrakes? Why? Because I had like, I think 5 Mandrakes at my tournament, and it was just like, why must you all have these crazy rulings? Why? But generally everything was pretty much straightforward, like just clarifying other stuff, clarifying a bit of the Into the Dark layouts, because a lot of them hadn't played Asymmetrical before, or Into the Dark, so that was pretty much fine. But oh my gosh, I never want to answer Mandrake questions again. There's so many, it's just ridiculous. And then it comes to prize support. So obviously, one of the other reasons I like running tournaments for stores is because if I'm running it and I'm doing it at no cost, I can give more prizes to my players. So we did manage to get the official Kill Team Organized playset, so that was thanks to Darksphere, who got it anyway. But my goal is to, I like to give every player a prize. So, because when I played in Underworlds, that's what you could do. But the organized play kits nowadays are a lot more restrictive. But you still got 3 bags of like, or 4 bags of 32 acrylic tokens. And then there was like posters for first, second, third, best painted, most sporting, and also a glass trophy for the winner. But as I said, because Darksphere was effectively running the tournament and I was doing it for free, I was able to, because I wasn't using my own fee, I was able to recycle it back into prize support for the players. First place got a £45 store voucher, third place got a £30, second place got a 15. Then I did best in faction for best compendium, best Space Marine, best Imperial, best Xenos, best Eldari, and then best Chaos. So they all got a £10 voucher. Most Sporting got a £10 voucher, and then best painted by Judge's Choice, because everyone put out their best, like their miniatures of painting, and me and Charles decided who came first, second, and third. First place got £25. So there was a lot of store vouchers available, which was great because Darksphere is quite generous with their prizes, and they were usable online or in store. So if you couldn't use it on the day, you could use it online. And with the prize breakdown from the acrylic trophy, well, from the acrylic kit, from the organized play kit, I was able to give everyone, because we had 10 drops effectively on the for the Sunday. So because we had 30 players on the Sunday, I was able, from 40, I was able to give everyone a prize, so everyone got something to take home, which was really cool. But it was just a lot of fun, and everyone was really happy by that. Darksphere also painted up like a bloody golden wooden spoon, which was really cool. But basically everyone got prizes, and I'd also brought snacks each day, so people had a selection of like brownies, cinnamon rolls for everyone to try and go like, oh look, you can have some snacks. London isn't that stingy. And that was what was really happy for me, because everyone got something and I was able to give a lot of prizes. So even if you didn't finish first, like for the best in faction, I gave it for the people who didn't podium the best in faction. Because, for example, I'll get into placings later. But basically, if you didn't come first, second, or third, like if top Eldari were first, second, and third, the Eldari player who came fourth would get the best in faction, just so it helps break it to people who didn't, do too well or as well as everyone. But it just meant everyone gets something, and obviously the winners get a lot more, including the prize support as well, which was really fun. And for the, best sporting, I had players vote via Google Sheets and just making a QR code, which I'd learned from Warhammer World, and that was really straightforward. And yeah, everyone seemed to really love the prize support. I was planning to give top 8 all 6 sets of crit dice and top 16 acrylic movement gauges, but the only issue was the site I used to order from didn't arrive in time. So it will be fixed for the Goonhammer Open, so there was a little bit less prize support than I wanted to give, but I was still able to give a lot, which was nice. And then for those interested, the overall placement was kind of wild. So at the end of day 1, Mandrakes were first, second, with Nemesis Claw in third place. That was after 3 rounds, so that was quite not surprising, right? But then on day 2, it got really interesting because we originally 40 players, and then dropping down to 30 meant we would have an undefeated player by round 5. So round 6, anyone could win. Because people were like, is there going to be a top cut, John? And I was like, no, there's just going to be 6 straight rounds because we're always going to have one undefeated winner. And if it gets lower than that, it means someone has another chance to win. So the tournament isn't locked in. Because while I am a fan of cuts, I think it's more interesting if you just do one big tournament. Because if you do more cuts, people just drop. And it's just harder to run that. It was super interesting day 2. Because as I said, by the end of round 5, we had one undefeated player. And then in round 6, basically, if that player lost, then it could be open to anyone else. And by the end of round 5/6, the Mandrakes, while still doing well, weren't in a dominating place. So for the final results, in first place was Exaction Squad with Mikkel. He's a great player. He's been really good, and he did really well with Exaction, playing basically 50-50 open and into the dark. So he basically played 3 rounds on open and 3 rounds on into the dark. So he had a lot of varied opponents. He didn't play Galapox, but he did, I think, beat Mandrakes. So he beat the best performing Mandrake player of the day. He had a lot of tough matchups, but played Exaction amazingly well. He's been playing Exaction for at least 3 months now, 3 or 4 months. So he's been really on the Exaction Squad train. And then in second place was Galapox, going 5 wins and 1 loss. And then third place was Mandrakes. Not Mandrakes, sorry. It was also Galapox with 4 wins, a draw, and a loss. So for my tournament, it was Exaction Squad, Galapox. And then for the rest of the top 8, we had Guy with his Mandrakes. He played really well. He was the best performing Mandrake player. He, unfortunately, in round 5, played into Exaction Squad and just lost on Into the Dark. And then he played into Galapox on Capture. So that was kind of like not great for him, because Galapox is like the worst matchup on Into the Dark. Exaction kind of, because they have 11 activations, they kind of just completely outstall and can just sit back and wait. So the Mandrakes kind of just lose a lot of their power. Then in 5th place, we also had Dylan with Mandrakes. Then we had Ian with Nemesis Claw in 6th place, Wormblade in 7th place from Joseph, and then Toby with Phobos in 8th place. So it was actually mostly very top 8. We just had 2 Mandrakes and 2 Galapox. Although interestingly, Galapox did okay at the event. So they ended on I think 57% win rate based on all the players, because there were 3 players. And then for Mandrakes, despite only getting 2 in the top 8, they ended on a 62% win rate because there were 5 players, and with their spread, they did actually, I think, the best out of everyone, which was wild. But they were in a really good place. Lots of Mandrakes, so many Mandrakes. Nemesis Claw did okay. I think they're around 50% because a lot of them just went even. But they were really popular. They were one of my most popular factions for the tournament as well. And then Phobos just did kind of, not surprisingly well. They did Phobos things. So overall, it was a good spread of players. I think the weirdest thing, we had 5 Mandrake players and 1 Corsair player. No other Eldari faction, so no Hand of the Archon and no Harlequins as well. So that was just, and no Blades of Cain. But lots of Space Marines, still lots of elites, but most of them were Nemesis Claw. It was a really nice spread of factions, and everyone seemed to have a good time. Blooded almost had a huge run on day 1 as well. So Blooded were having a lot of fun. But it was just a great spread of factions and a great set of results. And then obviously once everything was finished, I had to submit my token to ITC. So the way you have to do that is I registered the event to ITC, and then once ITC had approved it, I sent the token and all the points got updated. So first place got 210 points, second got 185 or 90, and third place got 170. So a lot of ITC points because I had 6 rounds, 40 players with 1 undefeated player. So that was great for my players. But overall, it was a really fun event. Lots of fun to run. I had a good time, and I think it's just fun. It was really nice being a TO, not having to play, just being able to, make sure everyone was having a good time. Everyone had a nice experience. Everyone said they had fun. We had lots of new players. I think we had 8 new players, which was crazy, which was really good to see, because that means we've got 8 new players who are more than happy to come to future events, which was great to see. We had people coming far and wide. We had a person coming down from Manchester, which was awesome. Lots of people, even people coming from Partisan Games, the event I played at, 3 weeks ago, so that was really cool because I'm trying to travel more events, so it was great seeing people from the other scenes I've played come to my events as well, so that was really fun. But everyone just had a really good time, and it was so good. And like, I have to thank my friends Dakota and Travis. As I said, without them I wouldn't have been able to run this tournament, because before I didn't even use Best Coast Pairings for Underworlds, I just used Excel, so they made this way more helpful and less stressful. And then obviously Charles, because he helped me run and organize the event, and I didn't need to play in the event to make it even, and he was helping with rulings. And then also thanks to Darksphere for running the event, because they were really cool and just a really supportive scene for us, and have helped Kill Team grow just in general, which is really nice to see. But before we go, I do have one more event. So this is actually the lead up to my Goonhammer Open. So I'm running the Goonhammer Open in June, so June 22nd and 23rd. It will be a golden ticket event, minimum 48 players hopefully. And if you win, you get the Goonhammer Open prize belt with 200 to 300 pounds towards your flight or trip to Atlanta. As well as tons of prize support, because I'll have all my acrylic stuff for top 16 and top 8, and Goonhammer will providing a lot of prizes, and it should be fun. So it'll be in Leicester, 6 rounds over 2 days, so 3 rounds each day, so it should be lots of fun. I'll be streaming the event. Scrivo will be there. Me and Scrivo will be streaming it, so even if you can't play, we'll be streaming it live. And hopefully we will also be using the WTC Bandua terrain, so we will have 24 tables of that new MDF terrain, which I'll be covering soon next week, which I personally think is the best terrain for Kill Team. But we'll have 24 full tables of that, so it'll be really fun, and I can't wait. So if you're playing at the World Team Championships, you're gonna like seeing my layouts. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of my tournament video today. Did you find it useful or helpful? Are you trying to run your own events? Let me know. And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out in the episode description below for free, and a Affiliate Element Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support, and I'll quickly shout out my patrons. So for my Adepts of the Crit, I have Willax, Tom, Super Cow, Sam, Nick, Kenzie, John Thomas, Graham, Freeman Go, David, Dave Meets World, Dad of Goldens, Ben, and then for my Veterans of the Crit, I have Samja. So thank you so much for all your support. It really means a lot to me and helps support the channel. But yeah, only one video this week because I'll have 2 next week, and I have a lot of stuff to do. I'm a bit behind, but that's fine. I'm always behind. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this tournament video. I'll probably do like a tournament setup guide if people are interested, because I really want to help grow the scene and encourage people, like, especially if we can use Best Coast Pairings, because it makes finding events a lot easier. So just organizing that. Obviously I can harvest it for stats as well, so that helps as well. But just growing the scene I think is really good, and building like a tournament organizer network, because I'm in contact with a lot of TOs. So just helping grow the scene more so people have more places to play is just great. But remember, until next time, no matter what happens at your event, remember there's always a chance for someone to win as long as they can roll a crit.